Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buffalo Sports Center. I am Don. With me today is a man who should be snowblowing right now, Cal. How are you doing today, Cal?
I'm doing great. It's been a rough winter here in Buffalo. The first half of it wasn't too bad, but all of a sudden we're getting a lot of snow in a little bit of time. But we're doing good, and the Bills have advanced to round two of the playoffs, so lots to talk about.
Absolutely, and may I just add, it's a nice time for me to move away, just in time before all the snow starts and the stormy winter conditions start happening. But anyways, folks, you clicked on this video because you wanted to hear us talk about some storylines, and gosh, there are lots to talk about. And it always seems like that's the case when the Bills and Chiefs face off. This is now the third time since 2020, third time in the last 4 years where the Bills and the Chiefs square off. The Chiefs so far are 2-0. This is third, maybe, hey, third time's the charm, Cal, maybe?
There's a chance. I mean, again, you look at those two prior meetings, and the first one came in the AFC Championship. Bills just could not keep up with the Chiefs. The Chiefs just kind of steamrolled the Bills. It is what it is. The second matchup, though, that one I'll remember for my lifetime. I mean, 13 seconds. Again, I don't think I go a month without thinking about that game and what could have been if we just beat the Chiefs that year. Truly thought that was our year, but all of a sudden we're back in pretty much the same scenario, except this time it's in Orchard Park.
Yeah, this time it's in Orchard Park. First time, actually, that Patrick Mahomes is playing away from Arrowhead, and that's actually the first and biggest storyline here today. Is that Patrick Mahomes has never had to go on the road and do that to get to the Super Bowl. Is that going to really change how this team plays in the playoffs?
I think 100%. I mean, first things first, let me say that I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to be intimidated, right? I mean, this is a guy who has multiple Super Bowls. I don't think he's scared. It's the divisional round. It's not like he's going to be quivering. It's not like he's a rookie quarterback coming into Orchard Park, going to be affected by all that. But let's be real here. I mean, Bills Mafia is crazy. That stadium gets very loud. And, the Chiefs know what it's like to play in a loud stadium. They play at Arrowhead, but not when they're on the offensive side of the ball. So will this home field advantage help the Bills? Of course it's going to help the Bills, right? Any home game helps the Bills. Do I think the Chiefs offense is going to be affected by it? Probably not as much as like a rookie quarterback would be. But again, it's all about the noise. And the communication is going to be very low for this Chiefs team. And let's be real, the Bills defense has been great this year, minus some injuries. So, that combination makes me very hopeful for this game. Although, again, it's the playoffs. I'm a fan. I'm still going to be very nervous anytime the Bills play a playoff game.
Yeah, anytime. And there were times on Sunday, or on Monday, actually, excuse me. There were times on Monday where I was getting a little concerned, especially as the defensive injuries were piling up. And Cal, again, that's another major storyline here. The Bills got banged up on Monday against the Steelers. Talk me through a little bit about the injuries and their impact on this team.
I mean, it's almost comical at this point, right? It was like watching the Jags game all over again. Every other play, a Bills defender was down, holding his leg, holding his arm. I mean, you couldn't stop it. It was unbelievable how many injuries took place. Let's talk about the big one first. Terrell Bernard, gets that ankle injury, and all of a sudden everyone's like, shoot, he's getting carted off. He's done for the season. I kept saying, please be just a sprain, please be a sprain. Oh, it's just a sprain. So out of all that, there is a chance he comes back. In this postseason. Now, I highly doubt he plays this week, right? I mean, there's almost no chance. But if the Bills advance, he should be back, for the week after, quite possibly. Then we go to Balin Spector. Balin Spector gets hurt. Unfortunately, I don't know, if that injury would have really mattered in the beginning of the year, but all of a sudden, the Bills' linebacking depth is down bad. And A.J. Klein stepped up big. Orion
AJ.
Williams stepped up big. He had some great tackles. So I'm not too concerned about that, but again, you got to be a little concerned. Taron Johnson, concussion, right? Taron Johnson in the concussion protocol. Again, we saw it with Ty Johnson. He was able to return the week after. And like I said in that video about the injuries, it seems like they might rush the process a little bit towards the end of the season and in the playoffs. So you can hope he comes back. As
Yeah.
far as other cornerbacks go, Christian Benford. This is a guy who stepped up huge this year. I mean, I don't think anyone expected him to have as good of a year as he had. He has been a lockdown cornerback. We'll see if he plays. Again, McDermott has said each one of these injuries is day to day, but it only takes so many day to days before all of a sudden it's game day and you're not ready to go. We saw that last week. We had a couple guys day to day, and
Yep.
nobody played. Nobody played.
Gabe Davis.
Douglas is coming back from that injury. That is a massive piece to get back with these cornerback injuries. We'll get our cornerback number one back, and he has looked great ever since putting that Bills uniform on. Like you just said, Gabe Davis. Again, he should be coming back. I don't think there's any reason to hold him out. Now, again, there is a chance that the injury is a little more severe than we thought, but I thought it was going to be a 1 week injury for a postseason, a 2 week injury if it was the regular season. So I think they do push him back, but we'll see what happens there. And then, guys are going to be sore, right? It's going to be the second week of the playoffs now. I'm sure each one of those players on the Bills roster is sore. Same goes with the Chiefs, though. So it's going to be, kind of a grind as we go throughout this playoff period. But we got a lot of guys coming back from injury this week, but I'm sure there'll be a couple of those day-to-day guys that are unable to play this week against the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, and you already talked about how we've had a couple of day-to-day guys not play. Gabe Davis, Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rapp. We haven't mentioned him so far today. It sounds pretty positive with him, too. So that could be some more safety depth for the Bills. And good Lord, we need help wherever we can because the Bills are limping on defense. And yet, that did not stop the Bills' defense from actually getting a few pretty huge stops in that fourth quarter. Things really seem to be sliding towards the Steelers' way, but then suddenly, Kaiir Elam. How about him?
Right? I mean, you look at Kaiir Elam, and he's been dealing with that nagging injury, and he's faced a lot of criticism from the media, calling him a bust, calling him a horrible pick, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Kaiir Elam comes in the game because all of a sudden the Bills have nobody left. They got to put third stringers in. Cam Lewis is in the game. And let's be honest with ourselves. Nobody thought Elam was going to have a good game because the first couple reps, he gets bulldozed, gets bullied, takes a penalty, pretty much gives him a free touchdown. And then Mason Rudolph throws a little bit of a bad ball there. And of all the people to get the interception, Elam gets it. And the rest of the game, he's just great lockdown cornerback. So that was the bit of confidence he needed. Let's not forget, he had that big interception last year in the playoffs against Miami in the wild card round to kind of stop their offensive drive. So maybe he's just a clutch cornerback. I don't know, but there seemed to be some disconnect between him and the coaching staff in the beginning of the year. I don't know exactly. It was kind of a mystery injury. Then we kind of found out a little bit later it had to do with his foot. But again, a lot of people kind of wrote him off, and all of a sudden he's going to have to step up big. And he's 1 for 1 so far after quite a bad start to that game. Once he had that pick, he really just kept playing good.
Yeah, he really did. And I mean, Jim Nantz said it on the broadcast that makes up for the last 2 bad plays he had on that drive. And you're right, that he pretty much shut everyone down after that interception. He really seemed to gain his confidence back. And for the Bills, that is tremendous. That is huge because if Christian Benford does not play this weekend, my gut says Benford is not going to play. That knee injury didn't look fantastic for him. It kind of looked like got a little twisted up. That looks like a 2-week injury in my book. So that means that Kaiir Elam is going to have to step into that Benford role. Maybe. Rasul Douglas is back as well, so you expect Douglas to take one of the 2 sides. Dane Jackson probably going to take the other side. But then there's Kaiir Elam. He's the next man off the bench. He's going to have to come in and substitute often for Jackson. And it's going to be really key that he has his confidence against the Chiefs. And this is not a Chiefs offense, right, that has been crazy as they have been on their previous Super Bowl runs. The Chiefs have been grinding out results, right? You said it earlier. These 2 teams, it's going to be a grunge match. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be on the ground, and eventually execution wins the game for either one of these 2 teams. But if you can really stop some of those slant routes that Kaiir Elam was giving up early in that drive, if you can stop some of those plays across the middle, that takes away a lot of the Chiefs' playbook to Kelsey and some of the other tight ends and even Rashee Rice.
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, you look at Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh was more of a physical team, right? Where I think you look at the Chiefs, they're more of a speed-driven team. A lot of fast receivers, a lot of receivers that have some problems catching the ball, which us Bills fans know all too well those issues. But again, the biggest thing with the Chiefs, Rashee Rice, he's been having a great end of the year, and all of a sudden he becomes your main focus as a receiver. But again, it's Travis Kelce, right? Lock down Travis Kelce. You cannot let Travis Kelce win this game. And the Chiefs have had so many issues dropping the ball that you shouldn't worry too much about their wideouts. It's literally got to be focus on Travis Kelce. Kelsey's having a down year as it is. You cannot let him start to get his swagger back in that first quarter and eat you alive. Now, another aspect of the Chiefs is their run game. It's been great this year. Pacheco, you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and the dynamic duo. It seems Edwards-Helaire always has a great game against the Bills, right? I mean, all of a sudden, he just comes out of nowhere, plays good against the Bills. And then, their run game's just been great this year. And their defense has actually been very good this year. Patrick Mahomes is not used to having such a good defense. The Chiefs' biggest weak point was always their defense, during the Mahomes era. And all of a sudden, their defense has stepped up. So it's not going to be an easy game. The Bills played a very close one, probably could have lost if Kadarius Toney doesn't go off sides in that first matchup. So this is not a gimme game. I know no one thinks it's a gimme game. The spread's negative 2.5 for the Bills, but it's going to be a grind, and the Bills have to come up on top because we're never going to hear the end of it if we get Mahomes finally to come to Buffalo and just for nothing, right? They beat us, and then we were stopped in the divisional round for the second straight year.
Yeah, and it just can't happen again. Sean McDermott, and I think this entire franchise really wants to beat Mahomes. If they can beat Mahomes, beat the Chiefs in their own home stadium, that will probably feel like a huge pressure lifted off their shoulders. And I haven't said this publicly yet, and I've said this privately, this is my prediction for how the AFC goes. I believe that the winner of this game goes to the Super Bowl. That's how confident I feel about the Chiefs and the Bills and their abilities to make a run. Nothing against the Baltimore Ravens, but we've seen the Baltimore Ravens before be the 1 seed, come out and play extremely flat. Now they're facing an incredibly young and injured Houston Texans team. But let's face it, everyone is injured at this point in the season. Everyone's hurting. Everyone's feeling the pinch, and they're looking to their depth guys to really step up. And for the Ravens, last time they were kind of lulled into a false sense of security. And while I do think they beat the Texans this week, I think the Chiefs or the Bills go to Baltimore and win that and then head off to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that Texans-Ravens game is going to be a very fun game to watch. That's our first game of the weekend for this divisional round. And yeah, it could go either way, right? I saw the spread earlier, and it looks like they're pretty heavily favoring the Ravens. But again, that bye has not really helped teams out. It's a tough period of time because you still have to practice, but you're not getting game reps. And again, it's that false hope, that, we're going to face the worst team, going into round 2, and it is what it is. This Texans team is sneaky good. CJ Stroud is having a monster rookie year. So that game could go either way. And again, say the Texans win and the Bills pull it out against the Chiefs. Again, I don't feel confident playing the Texans even because the Texans have looked good. So again, there's zero confidence here, but also the Bills have won 6 straight. And if there's any year the Bills are going to win a Super Bowl, this cursed franchise, it's this year where you're 6-6. I've been saying it all season. You fire your offensive coordinator mid-year. All hope is lost. Allen's, playing bad. You got bad decisions. And all of a sudden you look at the end of the year stats and everything looks like a great season on paper. So as crazy as it is, we've moved on to the same point we got last year, and we just got to get past it.
You just got to get over the hurdle. It only takes one. And I said it before, maybe third time's the charm. Maybe if we get Bale Inspector back, he's the piece to beat the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, there's
Who would have thought? Who would have
thought? Shout out to the backup linebackers that all of a sudden we're on our 3rd, 4th string linebacker this year. And it's just everyone that's stepping up is playing good. And that's this defense that McDermott has built. And again, I'll continue to say it. I mean, again, I've said some things about McDermott's clock managing skills, which I'm not, too impressed with. But as a defensive coordinator, he has been phenomenal throughout this entire season. And, aside from those last minute drives that, was pretty much Leslie Frazier in past years. But, aside from those, the defense has been great. He's scheming up the perfect coverages, the perfect stunts, the perfect blitzes. And this defense has been great. Again, you hold the Steelers to 7 points in the first half. Shouldn't have had any. And I know, we're going to have the Tyler Bass discussion probably after this season because he's been rough this year, to say the least. It seems like they have no confidence in him. But, yeah, a lot of decisions to make as far as our special teams go, especially with Sam Martin hurt now, too. But we'll see what they do with that.
Bring back the punt god? Maybe. They're looking at bringing back a punter in. But that is it for us here today, folks. I was Don. This was Cal. This is Buffalo SportsCenter. Maybe considering subscribing and liking this before you head on out. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. We will see y'all in the next video. Peace out.